a federal judge issued a warrant and so forth and so on. But federal judges aren't necessarily experts on campaign finance law. There's nobody there to explain it to them, right? It's the federal prosecutors making their point.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, plus, I don't know what was in the warrant. We don't know that. I think,
right.
Everybody should always be very uncomfortable when government officials start searching lawyers for people. Now, maybe that they think Cohen himself did something wrong, but that's something to be very nervous about. But you're exactly right. In the end, we don't know what's in that warrant. And moreover, to a lot of people, it's very plausible to say, oh, this sounds like, well, it could be campaign expenditure. One thing I point out is that, and this wouldn't be known normally to a judge who's not dealing with this, is that when the FEC wrote the regulation that says what constitutes campaign expenditures and what constitutes personal use, it rejected specifically the idea that a campaign expenditure was anything related to a campaign, and instead says it has to be something that exists only because of the campaign and solely for that reason. So again, that's something a judge probably wouldn't know, and I think is an important
Now listen to this. This is from the New York Times today, Professor. The disclosure comes a day after it was revealed that the authorities also sought documents from Mr. Cohen related to payments made to two women who claimed they had affairs with Mr. Trump, as well as information on the role of the publisher of the National Enquirer in silencing the women. The new details from the warrant reveal that prosecutors are keenly interested in Mr. Cohen's unofficial role in the Trump campaign. All right, unofficial role, so they're trying to get around attorney-client privilege. But that said, if you were the president's lawyer, wouldn't you march into this federal courtroom today, or I guess tomorrow, and say, you know what? We seek a protective order on anything that involves my client. We want to know what this warrant says. We want to be in a position to challenge this.
Well, I'm not a criminal defense guy, but that sounds like something that would be worth considering.
Mm-hmm. Because the in-kind contribution, these are leaks to the New York Times, where they're kind of telling us, you're right, we don't know everything. Certainly you haven't seen the warrant, but apparently parts of the warrant are being leaked to the New York Times. And what they're pointing out here is that, yes, this is related to Access Hollywood, the silencing of women, these payments, and in-kind contributions. I just want to be clear. And you're saying, wait a minute. These are not what was meant by in-kind contributions. I just want to underscore this point.
Right. I'm saying these are not in-kind contributions as intended by the Campaign Finance Reform Act or the Federal Election Campaign Act. And moreover, they're not as specifically defined in the regulations that the FEC has issued to interpret the act. And it's very, very dangerous when we start stretching laws like this because we want to get somebody. We seem to be operating from this premise over and over that there must be a violation here. So now let's figure out what law applies, and this looks like one that might vaguely apply, so people are rushing to it and trying to claim it's a campaign finance violation. Just like earlier they were talking about the emoluments clause or some of these other things.
Professor